Chapter 2. The Misfortune of the Firstborn. The hardest day of my life dawned when I stepped into the academy for the first time. It was as if I were teetering on the edge of a precipice, about to plunge into an abyss of uncertainty, enveloped in an acute sense of loneliness. "Son," Harold's words echoed in my mind. "Fear is a battlefield of its own." Harold was a seasoned warrior, a guiding light in my haze. I would grip my blade, my fingers quivering, a cocktail of fear and fury simmering in my veins. Once, I asked Harold how to stand firm against an enemy and how to drain the fear gnawing at my heart. His answer was simple. "Summon the courage deep within you. You're my blood. I know it's there. Your journey to manhood is about unearthing it." I found his advice banal, but life taught me its wisdom. Eventually, I wielded my blade without a tremor, though every kill left a bitter aftertaste, a sorrow for ending a life, deserved or not. This remorse is a spectre that lingers, haunting me even now. My inaugural night at the academy was marred by a haunting dream, a faceless man entombing me alive in a wooden coffin. Paralyzed, speechless, I watched the earth fall over me, encapsulating me in an eternal darkness. I was forgotten, erased from the world, my grave indistinguishable among the grey, ashen trees. Eventually, my flesh would return to the earth it sprang from, a prolonged, agonizing demise. I would become a mere footnote in the Academy's annals, a pitiful tale of incompetence. But I refused to be the boy in the dream. I resolved to transform into a warrior, aware that if I failed, the faceless man awaited. Recruits began to arrive en masse a couple of hours before dawn. They were tentative, with boys outnumbering the girls significantly. Father explained that the gender imbalance stemmed from the reluctance of many to send their daughters to the battlefield. In response, birth certificates were altered, with the eldest son replacing the firstborn daughter. It seemed unjust, but then I would probably do the same for my sister if she were the firstborn. Interestingly, the girls appeared more outspoken than the bashful boys, huddling together in anticipation. The crunch of their nervous footsteps against the pine floor was a distinct soundtrack, like an immersive theatre that played out before me as I sat on my bunk. Master Ulfric repeated his welcome address with a stern, relentless intensity to each batch of recruits. "This is your bed. That is your chest. Keep your sword with you at all times. Training begins an hour past dawn. Tardiness will not be tolerated." Each repetition was a stark reminder of the harsh reality we were now a part of. The recruits absorbed Master Ulfric's admonition, then wandered aimlessly to their assigned beds, their expressions mirroring the lost, perplexed, and potentially melancholic state Leofwig and I had been in just hours earlier. To my surprise, none of the recruits resembled warriors, and their clothing, hailing from distant corners of the kingdom, implied they had journeyed long and far, hoping to discover glory in royal service. This realization buoyed my hopes of surviving the academy and securing a future for my sister. They were all like me, wrestling with fear and the daunting future ahead, yearning for the warmth and comfort of home and loved ones. My smile was short-lived, however, as a burly lad with a shaven head and flattened nose tossed his belongings onto the bed adjacent to Leofwig's. His confident stride and self-assured demeanor told me he was arrogant and filled with an unwarranted sense of superiority. He reminded me of the urban lads who often ridiculed our simple, rural lifestyle. I loathed such boys, yet Master Ulfric's warning echoed in my mind. The prideful ones usually die first. This brought me a flicker of hope that this pest wouldn't be my problem for long. The smug boy glanced at Leofwig, who remained seated on his bed, minding his own business. I could predict from the boy's smirk that he was about to utter some infuriating jibe. Steeling my nerves, I vowed not to let Leofwig be victimized. "What are you doing here, fat boy?" the weasel jeered. "Did you come here to eat all of our food?" He laughed at his own tasteless joke, causing my blood to boil. "Look at his rolls, Balwin. He's fatter than farm pigs." He continued his taunting, pinching Leofwig's stomach while laughing, his mockery causing me intense revulsion. Leofwig, ever the pacifist, responded to the bully's taunts with a nervous smile, but neither left his bed nor retaliated. Instead, he wore a stoic expression, retreating into his inner sanctum, silently wishing the tormentor would leave him alone. I, on the other hand, seethed at the injustice being meted out to Leofwig. All city folk seemed to share this repugnant trait, considering themselves superior to anyone residing beyond the city walls. Those from the bayside, villages, or remote communities were merely dirt beneath their shoes. If they only knew the sacrifices made and blood spilled to claim those lands, they'd reconsider their words. But their shallow perspective failed to see beyond superficial differences. This brought back memories from Auchterfoss when I had to fend off such pompous city dwellers. My father had egged me on in those brawls, seeming proud of the bruises adorning my knuckles. Unabated, the impudent boy continued his derision, and I could bear it no longer. I leaped off my bed, placing myself between Leofwig and the instigator. The urge to strike him was strong, yet I held back, aware of the consequences if I initiated the fight. After all, Master Ulfric would likely be displeased, and his wrath was something I did not wish to court. Nevertheless, I had faced bullies before, and I knew they needed to be put in their place or their torment would persist. Thus, I threw down the gauntlet, hoping he would land the first blow and I could merely retaliate, thus avoiding any accusations of starting the fight. "Why don't you shut your mouth and prepare for training?" I attempted to appear threatening, although I wasn't sure of my success. Following my challenge, the boy eyed me, his mouth agape. Clearly, he was sizing me up, yet his delayed response suggested a lack of wit. I wondered if he genuinely believed he could beat me in a fight. "Who are you?" he eventually managed to ask. "This retard's caretaker." "The barbarian can take care of himself." His laughter echoed in the room. "This boy's a barbarian. He looks like a fat inbred to me." "He's a barbarian, and I'm sparing you the trouble of having him pound you into oblivion." Again he laughed. "Is that so?" "It is indeed. If you're not familiar with my name, it's Beornwulf, and I assure you, you won't forget it. I'd advise you to back off and find someplace else to bunk." "Or what?" "I think you know what, but I'm offering you a way out. We've all had a hard day, and it's needless to spill blood even before our first training session." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw another recruit approaching us with a rucksack. Was I about to face off against two of them? I readied myself for the impending duel. "You think you can intimidate me?" the bully asked, furrowing his brow. "You're nothing more than a southern inbred." As he took a step towards me, I held his gaze, determined not to show any fear. He was close enough now for me to smell the putrid odor of cheese and fish on his breath. "Inbred, you walk away now, or I'll make you remember my name. It's Marek, and it's a name you should fear." As he finished his threat, he gave me a push, causing me to stagger back a step. I raised my fists, ready for a fight. Yet he hesitated, not advancing further. My instincts screamed at me to stop waiting. I balled my hand into a fist, ready to smash it into his face, when Master Ulfric intervened, grabbing Marek by his shirt collar. His intervention was timely. I was prepared to pound Marek into submission, as my father had taught me. "Are you boys already causing trouble?" Master Ulfric's voice boomed. He turned his gaze onto Marek, awaiting an answer. It was apparent from Marek's pallor that Master Ulfric instilled fear in him, and he was left speechless. Then the master turned his attention towards me. "Well?" "No, master," I responded, taking a deep breath to curb my frustration. I needed to leave this room before I did something regrettable. I glanced at Leofwig, still cowering on his bed. "Let's get some fresh air in the courtyard." Without another word, I brushed past Master Ulfric, noting his slight smile. I wasn't sure what caused his amusement, but I didn't bother dwelling on it. I just needed to leave. As I exited, I could hear Marek's muffled laughter. He likely thought I was retreating from the confrontation, that he had emerged victorious. But it didn't matter to me. I opened the door and stepped out into the calm of dawn. On reaching the training grounds, I noticed a girl seated on the ground in a blue dress, her blonde hair glistening in the early light, a gentle smile adorning her face. I approached her, extending the courtesy of my greeting. "Would you mind if my friend and I joined you for a moment?" The girl gave a nod of approval, and Leofwig and I settled in beside her. "What's your name?" I asked, keeping my tone light and friendly. "Britiva, but most just call me Eva." Her words were coupled with a confident grin, one that seemed at odds with our grim surroundings. "I see you two are already prepped for training. How's life inside the walls?" "Poor, we've seen better, and worse," I replied, catching her eyes drift toward our attire. Her own dress hinted at a city-born, well-to-do upbringing. "You might want to get changed soon. Master Ulfric doesn't take kindly to tardiness." A smile touched her lips, but her eyes remained unperturbed. "I still have some time, just soaking up these last few moments of freedom. What about you two? You warriors?" I chuckled lightly at her presumption. "A warrior, no. Never really aspired to be one either. Leofwig here, though. He's had some practice. Isn't that right?" Leofwig shifted in his seat, nodding. "Not exactly training, but I have used a sword before. Father thought I was too foolish to train properly. Perhaps he was right." I smiled reassuringly. "We're here to prove him wrong, aren't we? What about you, Eva? Have you been trained?" "Since I was 10, she replied, without missing a beat. "My father, a baker who earned his wealth, knew this day would come. He prepared me for it and hired the best sword masters he could afford. I think I might have a better handle on the blade than most here. And honestly, I'm looking forward to this. I want to graduate for my father's sake." I nodded, pretending to comprehend her motivations. My own were far removed. I was here because my father, a drunken brute, wanted to be rid of me. "I'm sure you'll make him proud, Eva. As for me, I just want to live through this. I have a family that needs me." A soft smile curved her lips. "We all want to return home. You'll make your father proud too, and Leofwig will prove his father wrong. My father used to say, we all walk our own paths, and they change us, sometimes for the better, sometimes not. Remember who you are and learn to follow the current, not fight it. That's how you stay alive." She rose, dusting off her dress. "Now, I need to begin my own journey. It's going to be tough. Stay strong, but remember, it's a path we walk alone. No one will carry you if you stumble." With one last smile, she turned to leave. "Enjoy the quiet while it lasts. The screams will start soon enough." As the dawn's hour ebbed, the novices from our household silently assembled on the training field, our gaze fixed on Master Ulfric. His company of 20 raven soldiers, spears over their left shoulders and long swords at their right hips, seemed to mock our inadequacy. Today embarks the beginning of a journey that unfolds before you. For some, the journey may end prematurely, with loved ones casting dirt upon your coffin as it descends into the earth, destined to decay. Others will embark on a grueling quest, earning the scars that will mark their terrestrial bodies for the remainder of their earthly existence. Master Ulfric began, pacing down the line of 100 eager faces. "You are now the wild boars. Your emblem, the wild boar, signifies power, kinship, and battlefield protection. Learn to pronounce wild boars with pride in your voice. I am a wild boar. I bear our sigil with honor, and I won't tolerate any disgrace. A slight to our house's emblem is a slight to your comrades and to our ancestors. Any act of disrespect will be met with strict penalties. Are we clear?" A collective "Aye, Master," echoed through the ranks. "Pleased," Master Ulfric continued. "Glance to your left and right and see your new kin. You might end some of their lives, while others you'll learn to value. During the initial phase of training, we'll foster unity within our house. You are part of one of 4 houses, each led by competent masters who will grow to be your enemies over time. These masters will attempt to wrench your siblings away, and though we'll strive to thwart them, it is up to you to wage a noble war against the dragons, the stags, and the red horses, sparing each other's lives. Loyalty will be tested during training with a blade, spear, and bow. Rigorous practice will enhance your bodies and minds, molding you into warriors by the first year's end. Survivors of this phase will face a final test before becoming Raven recruits. I anticipate 2/3 of you will succumb before the first trial, and half the survivors will fail graduation." He halted before me. "Do you comprehend, recruits?" "Aye, Master," my voice rang out, Filled with newfound determination, Master Ulfric's smile signaled his approval. There are a few simple rules here. 1. Obey any command from a master or raven soldier. 2. No inappropriate relations among the recruits. 3. Always carry your sword, save when asleep. 4. Abstain from cursing, alcohol, tobacco, or potions. 5. Keep your living quarters pristine. 6. No fights unless ordered. Lastly, honor the fallen. These rules must be followed strictly. Non-compliance will result in penalties, even death by hanging. Are we clear? Once again we chorused, "Aye, Master." Good. Now, on to training, so I can determine the caliber of recruits assigned to the wild boars. Your first task is a simple endurance test. Run around the training grounds until commanded to halt. This won't be a short run, and stragglers will be punished for non-compliance. Commander Forwin will supervise this exercise. I'll be back this afternoon to assess your progress. With that, he retreated towards the barracks, leaving us to our trepidation and anticipation. "Spread out, warriors!" barked Commander Forwin, his tall, lean figure commanding attention. The raven soldiers quickly fanned out, forming a near-perfect circle enclosing the training grounds. As instructed, run until Master Ulfric commands you to stop. Begin. As I began my long run, I was careful to pace myself, settling into a rhythm that would conserve my energy. The others, in their naivety, sprinted ahead, eager to impress their new master. I smirked at Marek's lead, guessing he would be the first to learn the price of exhaustion. Yet my heart twisted for Leofwig, overweight and unlikely to endure the day without divine intervention. But there was no room for sympathy here. Survival was the name of the game. The run was long, longer than any I had ever completed before, and slowly the chill of the morning air gave way to the heat of the middle of the day. Surprisingly, Leofwig did not give up. Even though he was running slowly, he kept putting one leg in front of the other, determined to avoid punishment. The other recruits were also slowing down. Nearly 5 hours of running non-stop would break any person, and soon the squealing of breath in the chest would give way to sighs of pain. I saw the first boy collapse on the ground, but he did not move after he fell. A raven soldier quickly struck him with a wooden cane, and I prayed that he would get it up to avoid any further punishment, but he did not. The cracking noise as wood made contact with his flesh scarred my mind, and as I ran past him, I noticed that one soldier was replaced by 10 who were beating the boy's lifeless body. I saw his flesh quickly turn to blood, and his blood slowly pooled on the ground. I felt terrible for the boy and wanted to intervene, but I did not stop it. My failure to act was unforgivable, and my inability to save that boy's life would scar my mind for the remainder of my days. I did nothing but watch as that poor boy slowly died on the ground. I did nothing. I am a coward, and I am ashamed. As the day carried on, others would stop from exhaustion too, and there was a moment when I feared that my legs would surrender to the task at hand, but I pushed on. However, others, even with the fear of seeing a corpse on the ground, did nothing to persuade their minds to keep moving their legs. They would earn scars on their backs, but they traded that moment of pain for a moment to rest their lungs, and then they would keep running. I closed my eyes and ran the track from memory. I will not give up, I told myself, as I forced my legs to keep churning the dirt beneath me. I kept this up for several hours, listening to the cries of pain, pushing my feet to take another step, and hoping Leofwig would not give up and die. As the sun crested the horizon, saying that only 2 hours of light remained in the day, Master Ulfric returned to give the order of stop. I stopped and drank heavily from the air as I tried to catch my breath. My sweat had soaked through my shirt and pants, and my heart sank when I noticed my sheath was upside down and my sword was gone. It must have come unsheathed when I was running, I thought. I quickly searched the training grounds for my sword, hoping to find it before a raven soldier or my master saw it, but as I turned my head in a panic, I saw Master Ulfric holding my weapon in his hand with a smile on his face. The most important thing in a battle march is to retain your weapon. You do not want to get to where you are headed, only to realize you are not equipped to slay the enemy. That is the easiest way to die. What was one of my rules, Beornwulf? Master Ulfric looked at me, but I was afraid to respond. "Answer me!" I looked at the ground as my heart raced. "You will wear your sword at all times except during periods of sleep. You know my rule, but yet you disregarded it. Why?" "It was not on purpose, Master." Master Ulfric shook his head in apparent disgust. "You know what must be done now, and you know why." "Correct. I will be punished." I felt my eyes tearing up after I said those words, but I willed my tears away. "I will not be a coward," I thought. "Good, Commander Forwin. Punish this boy." Commander Forwin walked up to me, and he had a sadistic look on his face as he held a wooden cane in his hand. I waited for that cane to strike my flesh as it did to so many others today, but he never hit me, and at that moment I knew my punishment would be worse. "I see that you are friends with Leofwig. He is slow and fat, but he does have a heart. I only had to hit him 3 times today, and at the start of this trial I suspected he would have been the first person to die. He proved me wrong, but maybe I will have my redemption. Your punishment, Beornwulf, is to know that Leofwig will take your place. While you and the other recruits are enjoying dinner and sleeping in your beds, poor Leofwig will be running until the night becomes day or his soul departs his body, whichever one comes first." Commander Forwin turned around, looked at Master Ulfric and said, "Recruits, take care of the fallen, and then you may have supper. Leofwig start running." Leofwig looked at Commander Forwin and then did as he was commanded. Leofwig looked tired, and I feared he would fall over any minute. I watched as Leofwig ran, and 2 recruits carried the dead boy's body away. I feared that Leofwig would suffer the same fate by night's end, and his death would be my fault. My selfish behaviour made me angrier than I already was from Commander Forwin's decision to punish Leofwig in my place. That anger made me speak out against the commander's orders, and I spoke loud enough to know Master Ulfric could hear my words. "This is not fair, Commander. You are supposed to punish me, not Leofwig." I stared at the commander, hoping that he would change his order. "Are you questioning my orders?" Commander Forwin had a shocked expression on his face, and I could see his grip tightening on his cane. "No, I am only repeating Master Ulfric's orders, that I am to be punished, so punish me." Commander Forwin slapped me across the face for that remark. It happened quicker than I could have imagined. I never saw Commander Forwin's hand, but I felt the familiar sting on my cheek. Master Ulfric then walked up behind me and grabbed the back of my shirt, pulling me close to him. "You go in the box, boy. The next time you question my commander, the punishment will be harsher. Take him away, Commander." I did not care that I was being sent to something called the box. I was just glad I was at least being punished because I deserved it. "With pleasure, Master." Commander Forwin grabbed my arm and escorted me across the training grounds to a small wooden box no taller than 3 feet and no wider than 5. Commander Forwin squatted down, opened the small door, and stood back up. "Climb inside," he told me. I looked at the box, but did as I was instructed. As the door slammed shut and the lock was replaced, I took a deep breath to steady my nerves. Better to be punished with Leofwig than let him suffer alone because of my mistake, I thought as I welcomed the pain I knew I would endure tonight. "You will stay there until training begins tomorrow. Never question my authority again, or your punishment will be worse. You are lucky that Master Ulfric has a kind heart." Commander Forwin walked away, leaving me crouched inside my wooden casket, where I could neither stand nor lay down. I did not know if Leofwig would survive the night, and I feared watching his death with my eyes. I could not cope with that pain. I am not strong enough.